Leduc Roughnecks playoff hockey Monday night here in beautiful Spruce Grove. We have Leduc Roughnecks hosting the St. Albert Crusaders in a semi-playoff game. Starting for the Leduc Roughnecks, we got Ben Brooks, Jaden LeMay, we got Zaporowski, Fox, and we got Girton. Three keys to the game today, in my opinion. Stay out of the box, number one. Number two, time to come together as a team. Individual statistics mean nothing. Let's go, boys. And three, let's get a good forecheck. Brooks dumps it down, and they're going in for the forecheck. Play is behind the St. Albert net. And it's up. LeMay has it at the point, dumps it back into the corner. Girton on the forecheck. St. Albert player throws it around the boards. Big check by LeMay. St. Albert able to clear the zone. Zaporowski skating back. Fox with a hit. In net, we have, I believe it's Spila tonight. St. Albert has that at the point. Down low, turnover. Brooks has it, up to Girton. Girton gets it over center, dumps it in. They're going for a change. Out comes Garapy, Lowther, Palmer, Harden, and Smith. Plays up to center ice. Lowther takes it. Garapy sends it back to Harden. Over to Smith. Up the ice to Palmer. They get over the St. Albert blue line. Takes it down deep. Controlling the puck in the corner. Lowther helping out. Back around. Smith pinched in. Throws it towards the net. And St. Albert's able to get the puck out. Harden skating back. Takes control. Fires it over to Garapy. Up the boards to Palmer. Drop over to Lowther, who shoots it. Good save by the St. Albert goaltender. We're going to have a face-off to his right side. Out comes Girton, Bencharski, Goodman. We got Zaporowski and Niskin. Play goes into the corner. Niskanen dumps it back down in the corner. Goodman in for the forecheck. St. Albert gets it in behind the net. Tries for a long pass down the ice. They got a 2-on-1, but they dumped it into the corner. Niskanen picks it up there. St. Albert on the forecheck. Niskanen battling in the corner. Girton comes down to help out. It's at the St. Albert defenseman. Throws it at the net. Oh, it's off the bar. Deflection out front, goes off the bar, but stays out of the net. Battling along the boards. Got Bencharski and Goodman. Niskanen now picks it up. Throws it back around to Bencharski. It's in his feet. And good play by Goodman just to get it out past center ice so they can get a line change. Remo and Fox on the ice. Zaporowski with a hit in the corner. Remo battling tough down low. The puck is swung around over to the right side. Fox battling there. And they're able to clear the blue line. Oh, looks like we're going to get a penalty. It looks like a trip. Puck goes around the boards. And that's going to be touched here by Fox. And it's going to be a Leduc penalty. Tripping. Bencharski's going off for a trip. 2 minutes. On for the penalty kill, we got LeMay and Brooks with Smith and Harden. Oh, and it's McCammon in that. My apologies. McCammon's playing that. Brooks on the face-off. Won by St. Albert. Take it back to the point. Good aggressive penalty killing by Leduc. St. Albert in behind the net. Tries to get it out front. Leduc, there we go. Smith fires it down the ice. Brooks is putting pressure on the forecheck. St. Albert bringing it down the ice. Easily access the zone. Fires a shot on net. Hand McCammon makes the save. Harden just trying to freeze it in the corner. Brooks down low to help out. Harden over to Smith. the corner, loses the puck to the St. Albert player. Back to the point. Over to the wing. Shoots it on McCammon. Good save. We're going to be looking for a line change. Out comes Goodman, Girton, Fox, and Daniluk. Face-off's going to be to the left side of McCammon. 1:11 left in the penalty. Face-off won by Goodman. Over to Daniluk. Battling hard. He's got two St. Albert guys on him. Still battling. Puck goes back to the point. Shot tipped by Goodman and Fox. And St. Albert comes out of the corner with it. But then, Goodman broke his stick trying to ice the puck. And yes, the Goodman family is very happy to have a broken stick there. Already talking about him. Second mortgage on their house. And Girton gets it down the ice, which is really needed. They needed a change. Wickens and Tolsma, Niskanen, Zaporowski. St. Albert brings it out over the Leduc zone. Good play by Leduc to get a stick on that. Zaporowski has it behind the net, battling. Oh, not sure what. Glove pass, perhaps. It's like face-off's going to be to the right side of McCammon. Out comes Brooks for Wickens. Take the face-off. Wins the face-off. Zaporowski gets it out past the blue line. And St. Albert dumps it in. McCammon is able to get there. Zaporowski around to Niskanen, battling on the sideboards. Glove pass by St. Albert. We're going to have a face-off. Looks like outside the blue line. Back out comes Wickens. So we got Brooks, Wickens, and Tolsma with Niskanen and Zaporowski. Leduc was able to kill the penalty. Brooks wins the draw. Zaporowski has it up the right side and dumps it just over the blue line to St. Albert. And that looks like probably going to be an icing call. We're going to have a face-off deep in the St. Albert zone. And out comes Palmer, Garapi, and Lowther. Hopefully we win the face-off with Smith and Harden. Good energy so far in this first period. 14:45 left. No score. Garapi for the face-off. Won by St. Albert. Throws it in behind the net. And up the boards. Oh, turned over. It goes to Garapi. Palmer. Lowther in the corner. Back behind the net to Palmer. He circles in the corner with it. Back to Smith at the point. Need some bodies out front. Palmer has it on the sideboards. Back to Smith. Good low shot on net. And saved by the St. Albert goaltender. Face off to the left side of the St. Albert goaltender. Garapi, Palmer, Lowther, Harden, and Smith. Face off, won by St. Albert into the corner. And they just throw it high off the glass, and it's able to get it out of the zone. Glove pass. Smith tried to knock it down with his glove, and Harden touched it. It's going to bring a face off. Now they're bringing it back inside to the left side of McCammon. Not sure about that call. Didn't look like intentional glove pass at all. Garapi on the face-off. Won by Garapi. Back to Smith. Throws it up the boards. Lowther's unable to get to it. Harden up the boards to Palmer. Just gets outside the blue line. And they just fired off to the left side, and St. Albert enters the zone. Smith knocks it down. Lowther on the sideboards. Garapy. Ooh, almost gets it out to Palmer. Oh, Palmer and Garapy. 2-on-2 here. Lowther goes for a change. Oh, good try. Palmer slid it across to Garapy, but he was tied up and couldn't get to it. Oh, we got Owens now. Remo. Battling on the sideboards. In behind the net, Fox and Daniluk. Daniluk has the puck. Smartly just gets it out of play up the boards. And out comes LeMay. St. Albert brings it across. It's offside. LeMay, Owens, Remo, Daniluk, and Fox. Owens on the faceoff, wins it back. Daniluk has it in front of the net. Up the boards to LeMay. Good pass across to Remo, who chips it past the defenseman, comes down the left side. Oh, tried a fancy drop pass, was intercepted by St. Albert. And Fox dumps it back in behind the St. Albert net. LeMay on the forecheck. And, oh, I thought that was going to be offside, but Owens has it down low. Good chance there from Remo. Just couldn't get the stick on it. St. Albert came down, took a shot on the left side, and went up along the glass. Puck's all the way around the boards. Remo's first to get it. Back to Daniluk. They regroup, send it back behind the net to Fox. To off a skate. Still has control. Back over to Daniluk. Flips it up to the middle. It's a good safe play. Looking for a line change. Out comes Girton. Out comes Goodman. Go off Girton skating down the ice. Icing wave off. Out comes Bencharski to join them. Defense, we got Zaporowski and Niskanen. St. Albert chips it down. Niskanen has it back in his own end. Oh, trips up a little bit, but makes a good pass to Zaporowski. Slight giveaway. Oh, a good chance for St. Albert there, but a good save by McCammon. Puck's in behind the net. Still loose. Niskanen has it. St. Albert took it from him. Back around the boards. St. Albert just throws it back over to the corner, and Bencharski's going to pick that one up. Zaporowski battling in the corner. A couple St. Albert players battling. Shot on net, saved by McCammon. A little bit loose there by our guys. Girton goes for a change. Out comes Tolsma. Niskanen. Bencharski chips it up the boards. Goes past Niskanen into the corner. Zaporowski's there. Back to Niskanen. Oh, had time and gave it away. St. Albert player just hit the side of the net with a shot. Into the corner where Tolsman's battling. St. Albert comes out with it. Fans on the puck. Tries to dump it down the corner. Zaporowski. No, Tolsman's got it. Gets it down deep. Good play there. Out come Wickens and Brooks. Puck comes flying around the boards. Brooks is going to be there. Takes it off the boards. Good pass across the ice. That's Harden there. Gets a shot on net. Saved by the goaltender. Good forecheck by Brooks. Oh, that's an interference. Missed call there by the St. Albert referee. Puck down in the corner to Smith. Brooks helps him out because he got knocked down. Wickens bounces off his skate in the corner. Oh, it looks like we're going to have a penalty against St. Albert. Smith was taken down the corner with a trip. That's going to be a Leduc power play. Out comes Palmer, Lowther, Garapy, Smith, and Harden. 10-11 in the first period left. 2-minute penalty. Garapy the face-off to the right side of the St. Albert goaltender. Puck, draw one by St. Albert, just fires up the glass, and it just bounces out. They have to regroup. Smith and Palmer. Palmer skating with it, back to Smith. Up to Harden, and it's intercepted by the St. Albert player. Harden has it again. Carries it over the zone. Sets it up back to Palmer, over to Smith. Sets it up, circles around. Takes a nice low shot on net. Oh, a rebound just over the net. Harden just missed the empty net there. They're battling down low. Lowther takes it. It's back to Palmer on the fence. Over to Smith again. Smith has it. Down low, drops it back to Garapy. To Lowther. Puts it into the corner. Smith battling there. Giveaway, and St. Albert was able to send it down the ice. Off comes Lowther and Harden. Fox and Remo come on the ice. Palmer circles around. Takes it up the ice with some speed here. Crosses over the blue line. Sets up the power play. To Remo. Out comes Owens. Zaporowski on the point. Okay, high shot. Giveaway by St. Albert. Zaporowski has it on the point, still in the zone. Circles it down deep. Over to Palmer. Back to Fox. Palmer. Back over to Owens in the corner. Takes a sharp angle shot. A save by the St. Albert goaltender. Will get a face-off. Out comes Girton. .22 seconds left in the power play. Owens on the draw. St. Albert wins it. Try to fire it around the boards, and it's down the ice. McCammond out to play it. Sends it around to Fox, who has control in behind the net. Starts to bring it out through the zone. Tries for Remo up the middle. Bounces over his stick. St. Albert sends it down the ice. McCammond plays it in behind the net. And Fox. We got Zaporowski, I believe, back there. And he just sends it down for Girton, but it misses him and goes down the ice for an icing. And that killed the penalty. We have 7:53 left in the first period, no score. LeMay, Bencharski, and Goodman out in the ice. Smith. Smith and Harden. Goodman on the face-off. Wins the face-off. Harden has it in behind the net. Sends it around to LeMay. LeMay gets hit. Still holds the puck, though. Battling down low with Goodman. He takes it back, sends it back to Smith. He regroups behind the net. Over to Harden. Up the middle. Does a good pass. Just a little bit of a tug on his jersey. Out of the reach of LeMay. It's going to be an icing against Leduc. Back. Face-off's going to be back in their own end. Face off to the left side of McCammond here. Goodman on the draw. St. Albert centerman's thrown out of the face-off. St. Albert replacement comes and wins the draw. Shoots a low one, gets through everybody off the backboards. LeMay brings it up the right side. Comes up, just kind of dumps it. Smith back over to Harden. Harden dumps it in. LeMay going for a change. Wickens comes on the ice. He's able to keep it in the zone. Good play. Fires it all the way around. Nobody there. Wickens going hard. Intercepts the pass. Dumps it back. Bencharski has it. He's kind of all alone here. Tries to get a shot. Brooks has joined him. And Wickens. Bencharski has it in behind the net. Out front. Goes to Fox. Through. Brooks is knocked down. Wickens has it. It's back to Daniluk on the point. Just keeps it in. No, they're going to call that offside. Out comes Tolsma to join Brooks and Wickens. At Daniluk and Fox. Brooks on the draw. Pushes it through. Where Tolsma gets it. Just dumps it in behind the net. Wickens going hard into the corner. Dumps it back into the corner. Wickens again. Sends it in behind the net. Needs somebody to get in there. Tolsma. Puck is... Oh. St. Albert's able to sneak around. Oh! I think that was a save. I couldn't tell if it hit the bar or McCammond made a great save on the stick. Face off to the right of McCammon. Out comes Zaporowski, Niskanen, Lowther, Palmer, and Garpy. Face off to the right side of McCammon. Fortunate break there. Garpy wins the draw. Zaporowski. Garpy comes out of the corner with it, slides it over to Niskanen, circles back to Zaporowski, back to Niskanen. And up to Palmer, off his skate to the middle of the ice. Looks like they're calling Zaporowski for a penalty here. Slashing. 5:56 left in the first period. 2 minutes, Zaporowski. Goodman and Bencharski come out. Looks like a slow line change by Leduc, so they're going to send Garpy back out. The ref's giving Leduc the gears. Pretty quick line change complaint there. Back out goes Garpy and Lowther. Garpy wins the face-off. But St. Albert takes control, moving it around the outside. Back to the point, over to the other side. Shot off the stick, goes into the, I thought the mesh, but back to the point, and they just dump it down low into the corner. Glove pass, looks like. Puck's coming outside on a glove pass. They're able to get a line change. Goodman and Bencharski back on the ice. Face off outside the Leduc blue line. Leduc wins the draw, but Bencharski got knocked to the ice from behind. Puck back to the St. Albert blue line where they're moving it around a little bit. Tries for a cross-ice pass. Niskanen battling with him. St. Albert takes it in behind the net, over to the sideboards, back to the defense, over to the other D. Tries a low shot. McCammon handles that easily. St. Albert retains control. Defense. Flip pass. Another save by McCammon. Directs it into the corner. St. Albert controlling it on the point. Down low. Sideboards. Back to the point. Low shot. Gets through everybody. And finds the net. That's a power play goal. 1-0 St. Albert. Got to stay out of the box, boys. Garpy, Palmer, Lowther, Daniluk, and Fox. Face-off won by Leduc. Back to Daniluk. Throws it up to Lowther. Hard time controlling it. Bounces up over to the far boards. And down into the Leduc end where Daniluk takes control. Fires it around the boards to Lowther. Takes it, just chips it up the boards. Lowther has it again. Back around to Fox. In the corner, Fox battling away with the puck. Down low with Garpy. St. Albert comes out without the puck. Lowther's there to intercept that. Puck's down low. Daniluk kicks it up to Palmer. Unable to just try and tap it past the winger. Fox, who give away to the St. Albert player in behind the net. St. Albert dumps it in behind. Daniluk lightly chips it around to Palmer. He tries to get it out, intercepted by the St. Albert player, fires a slap shot wide of the boards. St. Albert able to keep some pressure on here, dumps it down low. Garapy now. Oh, flip pass. It was tipped on the way by. Palmer down low and behind the net. Working there. LeMay's come out to join him. Smith and Owens and Harden. Owens intercepts it, takes a hit. Puck's at the blue, and Harden keeps it in. Throws an easy shot at the net. And the St. Albert goaltender just freezes the puck. It's going to be a face-off to the right to the St. Albert goaltender. 3:16 left in the first period. 1-0 St. Albert. Owens on the draw. St. Albert wins the face-off. Goes right to the goaltender off the boards. He just freezes it. We're going to have another draw. Face-off again, won by St. Albert. Brings it up the left side. Throws it to the middle. Comes off his stick, right to Harden. Down, St. Albert has control of it. Comes over to Leduc blue line. It's tipped by Smith, who has that long reach. Harden has it. Fires a pass, more like a football throw, right into the side of Owens, who threw it towards the net. Remo battling low. St. Albert just fires it down. That's going to be an icing. Out comes Girton, Goodman, and Bencharski. 2:39 left in the first period. Face-off's going to be the left of the St. Albert goaltender. Goodman on the draw. Goodman takes the face-off, wins it back. Harden has it on the point. Tried to finesse a pass through there. St. Albert picked it off and just flicked it up and over the boards. Gonna have a face-off back in the St. Albert zone. Goodman on the draw. St. Albert wins the face-off back into the corner. Goodman chasing in behind the net. St. Albert brings it up, throws it to the middle. Skates it over to Leduc's zone. Pass to the middle. Girton tips it to Bencharski, who skates up. Takes it wide up the left side, waiting for some support. Throws one towards the net. Stopped by the St. Albert goaltender, who's going to freeze it. They're going to have a face-off to his right side. Out comes Zaborowski and Niskanen on the point. Girton, Bencharski, and Goodman. Goodman wins the face-off. Back to Niskanen. Over to Zaborowski. Good shot towards the net. Hit a player out front. Girton takes control. Works it back down low. Girton so strong on the puck there. Has it in the far corner. We're getting a penalty. It looks like another Leduc penalty in the offensive zone for a hook. Bencharski going back off the ice. Zaborowski. Niskanen, Brooks, and LeMay for the penalty kill. 1:57 left in the first period. Face off to the left of McCannon. Brooks wins the draw. Control taken by Zaborowski, who fires it down the ice. Brooks putting a little bit of pressure on there to keep him honest. St. Albert just dumps it down to the corner and behind the net. Niskanen with a good poke check there, battling in the corner. St. Albert comes out of the corner with the puck. Ooh, tried to make a move towards the net. Brooks tips it to LeMay. LeMay loses the puck at the far blue line. St. Albert brings it back down the other side. St. Albert's back to the point, fires the shot on net. McCammon stops that easily. Out comes Goodman and Girton. Face-off won by Leduc, back into the corner where Harden's just trying to eat the puck in the corner. Goodman standing beside him. St. Albert comes out with the puck and takes control. It's back to the D. Over to the other D. Fires a shot. It was going to go wide, but McCammon got a leg on it, directed into the corner. It's back to the St. Albert D. Across the ice. Back down low. Nope. Turn it over there. See if Goodman can get rid of the puck. He's got a battle. He's battling. Good hustle by Goodman to get it out of the blue line. Girton now putting some pressure on the penalty kill. Knocks it off the guy. Okay, nice try. Good playing by Girton there. He's a beast. St. Albert dumps it down into the Leduc zone. Girton first on the puck, chips it. Doesn't get out to the blue line. They still battle with a good forecheck. That's Fox. He fires it down the ice. Good shift there from Girton. Out comes Wickens and Tolsma, Smith and Danilak. Wickens has had a second gear tonight. See if we can keep maintaining that through the game. That's going to kill the penalty for the most part. 3 seconds left in the end of the first period. Your score, Leduc playoff hockey. St. Albert 1, Leduc Roughnecks 0 after 1 period. We're going to take a short break. All right, we're back live, Roughnecks fans. The beginning of the second period here. St. Albert leading 1-0. On the ice, we have Palmer, Garapi, Hardin, Smith. And we're shorthanded, so they'll be joined shortly by another player. 3 seconds left in the penalty. All right, let's go. Face off at center ice. Garapi wins the draw. Back to Hardin. Fires it down towards Palmer, who just chips it in. Bencharski's out there out of the box. Palmer tries to get it down deep, intercepted by St. Albert, who flips it up the right side. Dumps it in behind the Leduc net. Hardin picks it up. Just chips it around. It's intercepted by the St. Albert player. Fires it to their defenseman. Throws it towards the net. Hardin has it. Garapi. Hardin. Bencharski. Up to Palmer. Outside the blue line. He just dumps it down in behind the St. Albert net. Comes off for a change. Remo comes on the ice. St. Albert chips it out. Hardin has it. Back at center ice and dumps it down in the corner. Remo on the forecheck. St. Albert able to dump it around the boards. LeMay. Fox fires one, but stopped by a player. We also have Owens on the ice. Oh, barely. LeMay almost intercepted that, but it almost went St. Albert player on a breakaway. But we got an icing. It's going to come back all the way down to the St. Albert zone to the right of the goaltender. Remo, Fox, LeMay, Owens, and Daniluk. Owens on the draw. One by St. Albert into the corner. Fires it all the way around where the winger's waiting. Loses the puck. Owens has it. They're battling down. Oh, just outside. Daniluk couldn't keep it in. Dumps it back down to the corner. Remo on the forecheck. St. Albert able to bring it out. Fox picked it off. St. Albert picked it up again. Tries a shot. Deflected up off the glass and behind the Leduc goaltender. LeMay tried to get it out. It was giveaway. St. Albert threw it towards the net. McCammon with a glove save. We're going to have a face-off and a line change. Out comes Zaporowski, Niskanen, Goodman, Bencharski, and Girton. Face-off to the left of McCammon. Goodman on the face-off. That's won by Leduc. Right back to the goaltender. We're going to do it all over again. St. Albert almost doubling the shots that Leduc has. We got to get some offensive going here. Face-off won by Goodman. Bencharski has it up at center ice. Types it down to the corner where Girton's going in for the forecheck. He's going to take control in the corner. Bencharski has it. Flips it around towards the net where it's intercepted by St. Albert. Bencharski again. No, just threw it out front right to the St. Albert player. They come up the right side, 3-on-2. Good play by Zaporowski to break that play up. Shot thrown at McCammon, who makes an easy pad save, directs it in the corner. Puck, another one on McCammon, directs it over to the right side. Girton has it there. He's bringing it out across center. It's over to Zaporowski. Takes a night. Oh, hits him right in the head. Hits the goaltender in the head. Gets the puck back. Back to the point. Bencharski dumps it down low to Girton. Girton circles back. Goodman has it down low. He circles back. Oh, Girton towards the net. Some good work down low by this line. Niskanen on the point now. He gets it back down deep in the corner. Still has control. Tries to throw it up front. Hits a skate right to the St. Albert player who dumps it down the ice. That's going to be an icing. Out comes Brooks, Wickens, and Tolzma with Smith and Hardin. Face off to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. Brooks on the draw. Won by Leduc. It's right to Tolzma. Tried to get out front. Brooks has it. He's battling. Good shot on net. They're battling. Wickens now throws it at the goaltender. Good save. Good pressure by this line. St. Albert clears the zone. Smith dumps it right back down in the corner. Wickens working hard down in the forecheck. Around the boards, Tolles was there. St. Albert, giveaway to Wickens. He shoots it towards it. It's over the glass. Up high on the glass. Brooks now sends it back down low where St. Albert's waiting. And they fired up the middle. Harden has it, and they go right back in. Harden has it. Dumps it down to the corner. Tolles was there. Wickens with a tip. Brooks has it. He fires it back, and it comes outside the blue line. He was looking for Harden on the far side. Looks like we had a delayed penalty here coming to St. Albert. Palmer came on as the extra attacker for the goaltender. Brooks has it up the middle. He's stick handling through the zone. Throws one towards the net. The goalie deflects it up and into the mesh. We're going to get a power play here. Lowther and Garrity come on to join Palmer with Harden and Smith. Big power play moment here. Two-minute penalty. Garrity on the face-off to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. Won by St. Albert. He gets it, but he can't get it out. Smith's able to stop it there. Leduc fighting to get control here. Garrity has it down low. Looking for some options. That's in behind to Lowther, to Palmer. Smith back over to Palmer. Back to Smith. Palmer has to take it off his skate, circle around. He shoots it. That's up off the glass. Garrity in behind the net to Lowther. Lowther looking for an open man. Palmer has it back on the point. That's over to Smith. Back to Palmer. Circles around. Nobody out front. Oh, Harden had it out front just off his skate. Still battling around for it. Harden dumps it back down low. Lowther. Harden takes control. Back to the point to Palmer. Smith. Cross to Harden. Yeah, there it is. Power play goal. They battled hard. Leduc, power play goal. Looks like Harden was able. Couple whacks out front and he bashes it in. There's hard work by the Brooks line getting the penalty and a good movement there by the Leduc power play. 1-1. Brooks, Tolsma, Wickens come back out, rewarded for their hard work there. Zaporowski and Niskanen. We get some energy going here. Let's go Roughnecks. Brooks on the faceoff, wins it. Zaporowski takes it. He skates it over the blue line. Oh, he fired the other Zapatron out there, firing that one towards the net. He's going to have another faceoff inside. No, what do we got? Outside? I think he's calling that offside. Face off in front of the Leduc bench. Brooks, Wickens, Tolsma, Zap, and Niskanen. Brooks loses the face off there. Well, they get control of it. Brooks battling down low. Down in the corner. St. Albert chips it up. They come out 2-on-1. 2-on-1. Good back checking. Shot on net. McCammon had no problem with that. St. Albert controls it around the outside. Just fires it towards the net. Off of Brooks' skate into the corner. Niskanen. Oh, puck out front, St. Albert. Okay, Leduc comes out 3-on-2. Wickens, Tolsma, and Zaporowski. Zaporowski tries to throw it to the middle. It's intercepted by St. Albert, who dump it in behind their own net, but it's through the skates. Remo's going to pick that one up. He's got control. Still battling down low. It's Wickens. Wickens has it. Over to Fox, who fires it. Goaltender makes a blocker save. St. Albert dumps it out, and they're looking for a change. Danilux comes up the right side with some speed. Gets it over, trying to take it down low. Good smart play, good work. LeMay down to help out. We got Owens out there as well. More energy here from Leduc. This is good. Owens tried to bring it out. Danilux chips into the corner. Good play. Owens with a check in behind the net. In comes Remo. Owens comes in as the second man. Good play. Dumps it in behind to Remo. chipped off of him. LeMay takes control back over to Owens. Back to Fox at the point. Tries a low shot. It's blocked. St. Albert comes out. Takes a low shot. Misses the net wide. Now comes Remo down the right side with space. 2-on-2 with Owens. Fires it towards the net. Puck goes into the St. Albert corner. Leduc with a good forecheck here. It's out front. Owens has it, but he was on his backhand. Remo has it. He's battling down low. Owens helping out. They still have it. Good work by Leduc here. Oh, we got another penalty coming. Another penalty coming to St. Albert for, looks like, boarding. Remo's down in the corner, a little shaken up. He gets a good hustle here from Leduc his last few shifts. Not sure what kind of a penalty this one's going to be, if it's 2 or 4, but we'll let you know if you stand by. Out comes Garrity, Palmer, Lowther, Harden, and Smith. Just a 2-minute penalty for boarding. 12:54 in the second period. Shots more even up, 17-16 favor St. Albert. Garrity on the faceoff. Wins the draw. Palmer over to Smith. Smith, towards the net, just wasn't tipped. Low pass across the ice there. St. Albert's able to clear the zone. Smith has it back in his own end, circling back. Give away to St. Albert, who just dumps it down in the corner. Smith has it again. Dumps it in behind the net to Palmer. He gets his wheels going. He looks like that snail in the cartoon movie. Moving so fast. There's going to be fire coming off of his skates. Palmer down low. Lowther. Palmer. Smith. Palmer. Tried to get it down to Lowther. Oh, Lowther has it down low. Garrity battling. Still battling out front of the net. We're going to get a face-off. A little extracurricular out front. Turbo. Turbo was the name of that snail for all you people listening out there. Face-off's going to come to the left side of the St. Albert goaltender here. Remo and Owens come back out with Girton, Zaporowski, and Fox. Owens on the draw. St. Albert wins it back into the corner, but the Duke's down there battling with 3 bodies. They come out with the puck. It's back around the boards. Remo has it at the point. Slides it over to Fox. Nice low shot, but misses the net. St. Albert is going to easily clear it down the ice. Bounces over McCammon's stick. He's in no man's land out in the corner. Slides the puck around to Fox, who almost gives it away. Fox has it down low. 38 seconds left in the Leduc power play. Over to Zaporowski on the left side. Back to Fox. Oh, no, giveaway. Comes in all alone on a breakaway. St. Albert scores. Giveaway. Short-handed goal. All right, time to regroup. Keep this hustle going. Garrity, Palmer, Lowther, Smith, and Harden. Smith has it. Palmer has it back on the point. Circles around him behind the net. Off to the races he goes. Back over to Smith. It's off his stick. Chips it. We got Lowther. Back to Palmer in the high slot. Oh, good save by the St. Albert goaltender. The net's off the high stick. It's coming outside. Now there's offering the referee his autograph. He didn't agree with the call. Several discussions there about it being outside and a high stick. Garrity, Palmer, and Lowther. St. Albert won it, just chipped it down. Penalty's over. Lowther just fires it in on net. Therapy. Palmer has it on the side. Back Smith. Oh, puck's bouncing around. A couple chances. Lowther has it out front. Stopped by the St. Albert goaltender. Good chances there from Leduc. Be on the face-off with Palmer, Smith, Harden, and Lowther. One by St. Albert. Chipped it up off the glass. Not out. And he just chips it up the boards. And it's going to be an icing. Face-off's coming all the way back down to the left side of the St. Albert goaltender. 2-1 St. Albert. Garapy on the draw. Wins that face-off. Lowther has down low. Oh, it's off the ref or linesman's foot with an attempt to pass back to Smith's up to center ice. Harden goes back into his own zone. Chips it up. St. Albert takes control in the Leduc zone across the ice. Tries to fire it at the net. Just a bounce pass there. Palmer has it down low. Body's flying it. Oh, Lowther has it. Oh, good try. Threw it out front. St. Albert comes out. Some speed. Smith intercepts that pass. What are we calling here now? Interference on Leduc. Wow, like, all I saw was Leduc players flying around there, and we're getting a call. Garapy's going off. Brooks and LeMay come out for the penalty kill with Niskanen and Zaporowski. Brooks on the face-off in his own end. He wins the draw. Niskanen has it on the sideboards. St. Albert took it from him, threw it towards the net. They take control around the outside. Brooks battling down with him. That's off his skate down low. Niskanen gets a piece of that. Brooks on the penalty kill. They fired across the ice. LeMay on there. Ooh, fires that at the net where St. Albert was standing all alone. Tipped it over the glass. They're moving around the outside. St. Albert back to the point. Fires a low shot. Oh. McCammon's able to make the save and then jump on the puck to freeze it. Going to get a line change here. Fresh bodies. Bencharski and Goodman come out. Niskanen and Zapp stay out. Face-off, one by St. Albert. Move it around the point. Yeah, aggressive there. Good. Bencharski battling. Gets it down the ice. Good play by Bencharski there. St. Albert skating out of their own zone. Come up the right side with some speed. Cuts to the middle. Oh, he had a good chance from the short side there. Flipped it up off the glass. And Niskanen's able to dump it down the ice. D, you're looking for a change. We got Daniluk and Fox coming out. Goodman hanging back and Bencharski in on the forecheck. St. Albert brings it up the left side easily. Brings it over the zone. Daniluk gets a piece of it. They still control around the outside. Back to the D. Cross back to the D. Drop. Little fancy dancy. Oh, off the post. McCammon couldn't even see that. St. Albert player fired it, hit the post, and went into the corner. Controlling it on the point. 20 seconds left in the power play for St. Albert. St. Albert moving it around the outside. They throw it towards the net again. McCammon's able to see that one and jump on that, no problem. Penalty kill. Out comes Brooks and Wickens, Smith, and Harden. Important face-off here. See if Brooks, he's been good on the face-offs today. Will win the majority of his face-offs. 11 seconds left, 7:58 in the period. Important face-off here. And Leduc does win the face-off. And it gets outside the blue line. St. Albert's forced to dump it in, but that's going to give Leduc time to get it down the ice. Smith has it, and he clears it down the ice. All right, Wickens, Tolsma, Brooks. St. Albert, too easy to break out there. Dump the puck down in the corner. It's in behind. Back to the point for St. Albert. Throws it towards the net. Good save by McCammon. Wickens has it now on the left side, but gives it away. They're not able to get it out. Harden with a good check, though. Harden in behind the net. Fires it around high. That goes to Tolsma. He's got it on his feet. He can't get it out. He picks it off and just clears it. Hits the linesman, which prevents an icing. Brooks looking for a change. Giveaway. Wickens has it. High slot. Blocker saved by the goaltender. Goodman's on the ice now. Goodman, Wickens, and Tolsma. St. Albert dumps it down in the corner. Zaporowski has it down in his own end behind the net. He skates around the corner and just gets it out of the zone. Wickens now picks up the loose puck. Another high shot that misses the net. Girton out there now. Niskanen fires it towards the net. Wickens hits a skate, goes into the corner. Bouncing puck in St. Albert's favor, and they are able to clear it down. In behind the net for Leduc. Control there, Zaporowski. Niskanen, long high pass. Girton knocks it down, goes right to St. Albert, who comes out, and they just get it back down in behind the Leduc zone, in their net, behind the net. Zaporowski has it. And that pass for Girton goes off his skate, but St. Albert touches it, goes all the way in behind the St. Albert zone. Bencharski on the forecheck. Girton second man in, good forecheck there. He's battling down low. And St. Albert's able to come out of there with that. Remo on the ice. Oh, good pass in the middle, just out of the reach of Bencharski. Bencharski chips it. Girton has it up the right side. St. Albert's able to take it from him. They just clear the zone. Niskanen now back. Tries to get it down deep. Bounces off the St. Albert player. Fox has it now. Another pass up the middle is intercepted by St. Albert. Niskanen pressuring him. Owens picks it off. He's skating out. He just dumps it down in the corner for LeMay. LeMay on the forecheck. St. Albert just fires it around the boards. That's too easy. Fox battling there. St. Albert chips it out. Daniluk doubles back. He chips it up the boards. That's iced by St. Albert. We're going to have a face-off back in their end. Lowther, Garapy, Palmer. Harden and Smith. .444 left in the second period. Garapy on the face-off. St. Albert wins the draw. He is shipping around the boards and easily break out here. They throw it up, Aaron pass up the middle. Smith knocks it down. Oh, good tip by Palmer there. Garapy and Lowther had a chance up front, but just a little off there on their stick. Oh, blind pass from circle of pass there by Garapy towards the net. It's intercepted by St. Albert, who throw it around the boards and break out. Smith intercepts, knocks the St. Albert player off the puck. Palmer, Harden, trying for Lowther up the middle, but it goes right on the St. Albert goal there. It would have been icing. And St. Albert brings it out and just chips it out over the blue line. Harden has it back in his own end now. Chips it up the board. St. Albert picks it off. They have control. They just dump it to the far side. Smith's waiting there. Palmer tries to chip it through. Palmer working down low in the forecheck. That's tip. That's going to be an icing. Faceoff's going to come all the way back. Goodman, Girton, Bencharski, Niskanen, and Zaporowski. Offensive draw here to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. See if Goodman can win a draw here and create a scoring chance. He does win the draw. And Disking over to Zaporowski, who didn't get much of a shot, and then he's knocked into the boards. St. Albert, no paddling, but Leduc. Zaporowski tries to pick him off. St. Albert comes down the right side, chipping towards the net. Knocked out of the air by the St. Albert player in behind McCammon. 3-1, St. Albert. Just threw it towards the net and it was knocked out of the midair. Got him behind McCammon. Brooks, Wickens, Tolsma, Fox, and Daniluk. Brooks wins the face-off. St. Albert takes control, and they dump it down in behind Leduc zone, or Leduc net. Puck's coming around the boards to Tolsma. He chips it up the middle. Wickens picks it up. They come out with some speed. Brooks going towards the net. Shot off the pads. Doesn't get through. St. Albert brings it out. Good play by Fox. Brooks gets it, dumps it back down into the zone. We got to get a forecheck here, boys. Wickens on the forecheck with Brooks. They're working down low. Wickens has it. And just pushes around the boards, and St. Albert's there. St. Albert flicks one down. Oh! That's going to be a penalty to Leduc. Fox is going to the box. Two-minute penalty to Fox with 2:34 left in the second period. St. Albert 3, Leduc 1. We got LeMay out there with Girton, Smith, and Harden. St. Albert took control off the face-off, threw it towards the net. Goalie couldn't even see it. 4-1. LeMay, Owens, Remo, Smith, and Harden. St. Albert wins the faceoff. Skate over the zone, pretty uncontested. LeMay chips it. Owens, it's up the right side. Remo, off his stick, that's going to be offside Leduc. Owens, LeMay, Remo. Harden and Smith bring it up. We're getting rushing all the D here. Puck somehow got him behind the goaltender in the net, but the ref looks like they blew the whistle. Not sure what he's calling. I think it's going to be a St. Albert penalty. Leduc power play. Lowther, Garrity, Palmer, Harden, and Smith. Gotta have one here. Minute 59 left in the second period. Gotta have one. Face-off, won by St. Albert. They fired around and it's out. We gotta win some face-offs here, boys. Palmer has it back in his own end. Circles around behind his net. Skates it up the left side with some speed. Brings it over the blue line. Controls it down low. Garapy now in the corner. Back to Palmer. Garapy on the D. Back over to Smith on his backhand. Smith with a low shot was good for tipping, but Harden couldn't get a stick on it. St. Albert clears the zone. Garapy from Palmer. Palmer has it. He skates it up the middle, brings it across the blue line. Over to Garapy. He's all alone. He's bumped. St. Albert picks up the puck and fires it down the ice. Remo now comes out with some speed. Brings it through the middle. He brings it over to the zone. Shoots it. Oh, good shot. Shoulder save by the goaltender. Didn't really see that. Leduc battling down low. Lowther comes out with the puck. Zaporowski. It's bounced off his stick at the blue line and out. Fox circles around. Zaporowski. Back to Fox. Girton, Remo, and Owens. Fox brings it down. This one up off the glass. Just kind of bounces around and out of the zone. Zaporowski circles around with speed. Chips it up. Fox has it. Off his skate into the corner. Fox going down to try and get it. St. Albert, ooh, fans on the puck. Duke fanned on the puck as well. That's going to be the end of the period. The Duke playoff hockey. St. Albert 4, All set. All right. All right, Roughnecks fans, third period. St. Albert 4, Leduc 1. Garrett, Lowther, Palmer, Hardin, and Smith. St. Albert wins the draw. Bring it across. Offside. Face off outside the Leduc blue line. Garrett on the draw. Leduc wins the draw. St. Albert bouncing around. Hardin has it. Just chips it up. Nobody home. St. Albert throws it back in low on McCammon, who makes the save. Smith's pass goes through Palmer. St. Albert just dumps it, and it goes up into the glass or into the mesh. We're gonna have a face-off outside the blue line. Leduc. Not sure why lining up on the face-off circle. That should be outside. Okay, Garrett on the face-off. St. Albert wins the draw. Lowther takes control. Palmer has it up the right side. Working down low. All right, with a hold against St. Albert. Leduc's going to go to the power play. Hardin, Smith, Lowther, Garrett, and Palmer. Left side of the St. Albert goaltender. St. Albert wins the draw. Back in behind the net. Lowther battling there. Hardin in to help out. St. Albert tried to clear it. Went to Palmer at the point. Back to Smith. Throws a shot at the net. Nobody around. Easy save for the goaltender. Right in the center chest. Face off again to the left side of the St. Albert goaltender. Garrett on the draw. Won by St. Albert, who fired down the ice. Cameron stops it in behind the net. Palmer takes control in behind, and he comes out with some speed. Brings it down across the St. Albert blue line, takes it wide. Throws it towards the net. Puck's bouncing around. Still loose. St. Albert fires it, and it hits the bench for St. Albert. And looks like the linesman went for a little trip into the St. Albert bench as well. Face-off's going to be back to the left side of the St. Albert goaltender. Garrett, Lowther, Hardin, Smith, and Palmer on the power play. 1 minute, 20 seconds left of that power play. Linesman's no worse for wear, just checking his edges. Garrett on the face-off. Won by Leduc. Oh, a quick shot there by Hardin. Kicked to the corner by the goaltender. Back to the point where Palmer has it. It's over to Smith. Back to Palmer. Smith. Throws it towards the net. Good save by the goaltender. St. Albert takes control of the rebound and flicks it out to center ice where Smith has it. He puts a long pass over to Garrett. Tries to go across the ice. Intercepted by St. Albert, who skates it in. Cuts to the net, puts a shot, nearly gets killed by Smith. Now Lowther brings it out with some speed. Hardin just dumps it through the middle. Lowther going into the corner. Need more guys in there. Hardin helps out. Oh, come on. That's a joke. Hardin's going off the ice. Looks like a charging. Questionable call there by the official. Fox and Zaporowski come out with Remo and Owens. A little bit of 4-on-4 hockey. Questionable call there. Owens on the draw. He wins the draw. Back into the corner. Zaporowski takes control. He brings it out. Bumped a couple times. Chips it up. Remo has it. Loses puck, but St. Albert dumps it into their own corner. Zaporowski loses the puck. St. Albert comes out. No, offside. St. Albert was offside. Faceoff's going to come outside the Leduc blue line. St. Albert player looks like he was sharing recipes with the referee there for a moment. Puck's coming outside the blue line. Owens on the faceoff, wins another one. Zaporowski takes control. He skates it wide with some speed. Comes over the blue line. Middle, shoots one into the glove of the goaltender. We saw it all the way. We're going to have a face-off to the right side of the St. Albert goaltender. Still 4-on-4 for another 2 seconds, and Leduc's going to be shorthanded. Owens on the face-off. St. Albert wins that one. Owens putting on a good forecheck here. Now shorthanded. St. Albert skates it out from behind the net. Brings it out. Skates it around. Goodman is also, Bencharski's on the ice with Fox and Zaporowski. St. Albert player loses that blue line, comes outside, is forced to regroup in his own end. St. Albert skating it out. Takes it wide with some speed. Goodman on the ice now. St. Albert on the power play. Tried to fire it across the ice. Is tipped out of play. Face off outside the Leduc blue line. Smith and Niskanen out now with Goodman and Bencharski. Goodman on the face-off, just outside the St. Albert. St. Albert wins the draw. St. Albert across the ice into the skates. Their player throws up the middle. They take control in the Leduc end. Goodman with the forecheck there. Smith's able to dump it out and send it down the ice. Bencharski skating hard on the forecheck. St. Albert skates in behind their zone or their net. Bring it out slowly. Bring it across. Skates right through the middle of the Leduc team. St. Albert at the point. Back over to the other point. Low shot goes wide. Back to the other defenseman on the far side. Leduc has it on, St. Albert has it on the sideboards. Throws it towards the net. Good low save by McCammon. Back to the point for St. Albert. Another low shot. Good save by McCammon. Leduc try to clear it. Can't. Still controlled. We're now even strength. Penalties been killed. Bencharski has it. He flips it out to Hardin. Hardin on the forecheck. Girton, LeMay, Fox, Daniluk. And out comes Brooks. Puck's just fired hard around. The Duke forward's unable to corral it. Girton. LeMay dumps it down to the far side. Girton on the forecheck. Brooks there to help him out. Brooks circles back. Back to the point to Daniluk. High shot. Easy save for the goaltender. Brooks, LeMay, Girton, Daniluk. Fox. Daniluk and Fox come off for Smith and Hardin. Brooks on the face-off. Won by St. Albert. Oh, tried to pass it up the middle. Just about picked off by Brooks. Circled around. Brooks battling there with Girton. Brooks dumps it down in the corner. Oh, intercepted there. LeMay. Into the corner. Brooks has it. Dumps it in behind the net. They're coming for a change. The whole line. Out comes Lowther, Palmer, and Garpy. St. Albert brings it across the blue line. Circles it around. Palmer chips it to the boards. There goes Garapy around the defenseman. Shoots and misses the net high. And Lowther's taken down. He's going to be drawing a penalty. Interference. Good work there by Leduc. Drawing a penalty. They're going to go to the power play. And this is a must-score power play. They must score on this one. Harden, Smith, Palmer, Garapy, and Lowther. Oh, looks like they got them for 2 penalties. It's going to be a 2-man advantage. Two penalties. This is must. We must score here. Leduc with the 2-man advantage. Garapy on the face-off with Palmer, Smith, Harden, and Lowther. To the right side of the St. Albert goaltender. One by St. Albert, who skates it out. And they just dump it down on the far side. All the way around the boards to Harden. Circles around to Garapy. Garapy bringing it through the zone. Crosses the St. Albert blue line. Sets up on the far side. It's over to Smith off his stick. He gains control again. Into the corner. Out front. Just kind of shoveled off to the corner where Palmer has it. Lowther in the corner. Come on, boys. Let's get some shots on net here. Garapy on the point. Good low shot. They score. That's what you need. Garapy. Tip by Harden out front. 4-2, and they're still going to be on the man advantage. Good low shot. Good low shot there. Good low shot by Garapy from the point. Tip by Harden out front. And they still have a 1-man advantage here. With 1:20 left in the penalty. Lowther, Garapy, Harden, Smith, and Palmer. Center ice. St. Albert win the draw, dump it back all the way into their own zone. St. Albert fires it all the way around the boards and down the ice. Leduc's going to have to come back and bring it out. McCammon stops it in behind the net. Smith skates it out. Long pass to Lowther, who's at the far blue line, but that's offside. It's going all the way back down. Face-off's going to be to the left side of McCammon. Face-off won by Garapy. Leduc slowly bring it out. That's Smith. Up to Lowther. Kind of bobbles the puck, tries to regroup. It's back to Palmer on the other side. He brings it in with some speed. No, that wasn't offside. Bad call by the ref or the linesman there. Poor call by the linesman on the offside there. Face-off's going to be outside St. Albert blue line. Garapy on the face-off. Won by Garapy. He's on fire now with the draws. Smith loses the puck, trying to dump it in, and St. Albert dumps it down the ice. Palmer picks it up with some speed in behind the net. Comes out. He's coming out flying with some speed. Sets it up. It's back to Garapy. Fans on the puck, send it over to Smith. Keeps it in. That's a high shot up along the glass from Smith. Palmer now back down low to Lowther. And that's fired out of play by St. Albert in their own zone. Face-off's going to be to the left side of the St. Albert goaltender. Remo Owens, Girton, Zaporowski, and Fox come on the ice. 15 seconds looks like left in the power play, or 19 seconds maybe. Owens on the draw. Won by St. Albert, but given away right to the point. Zaporowski slides it over to Fox, who throws a low one at the net. Oh, just misses. Girton was out front. Remo circling around with some speed. Oh, good try. Firing pucks at the net. Fox fired one in there. Remo fired one in there. Even strength now. Girton takes it back to the point to Fox. Dumps it back down in the corner. St. Albert bringing it up the left side. You just dump it down in the corner. Fox gets there first, tips it over. Zaporowski now makes a good move to get past before checking forward there. But St. Albert's able to take the puck away and dump it back down in behind McCammon. Fox has it now. Brings it out up to Owens. Owens over the blue line. Remo. Oh, misses the net on the shot. Smith's on the ice, able to keep it in. He just dumps one towards the net. And St. Albert just flips it out. That's going to be an icing. Garrity, Palmer, Lowther back out. Harden and Smith. .11:32. Face-off won by Leduc. It's in behind the net. Garrity intercepts the pass, dumps it back in behind the net. St. Albert just dumps it around to their open winger, who easily gets it out. Harden back in his own end to Garrity. Fires it across to Palmer. Palmer enters the zone. To the corner board, circles around. Harden now. Back down low to Garrity. Garrity has it in the corner to Lowther. Lowther battling in the corner, tried to throw it up front. Oh, he's taken down. No call. Smith into pinch and was able to keep it in momentarily. Then St. Albert dumps it down the ice. It's going to be another icing call. Remo, Owens, LeMay on the ice. With Zaporowski and Niskanen. Face-off won by Owens. Niskanen has it. Works it down low. Tries to flip it out front to Owens. St. Albert intercepts and dumps it down the ice. McCammon plays it. LeMay back to get the puck. He circles around, coming up the right side. Comes down, brings it across. Tries a shot, and that's hit the shin pads of the defenseman. Niskanen now. Owens loses the puck, and St. Albert clears the zone. Zaporowski circling around. Dumps it back to Niskanen. Niskanen up to Remo. Remo tries a little touch pass to LeMay, but it's intercepted. St. Albert trying to dump it in, just ends up firing it into the bench. We're going to get a face-off. Bencharski, Goodman, Girton, Harden, Smith. Won by St. Albert. Fired across and down in behind the Leduc net. Smith is there, lets it roll for Girton, who can't pick it up. It's back to the St. Albert defense. Fires it, just misses off the backboards. Smith now. Cross ice pass to Harden. That's close to offside. Harden tries to fire it out, but no sticks on the ice. Smith tries to pinch, is able to keep it in. Throws it out front. Girton has it. He's working hard down low against two St. Still has it. Back down low. That's, I'm not sure who that was. Goodman. Oh, Girton taps it in from the side. 4-3. 9:16 left. Lots of time. Girton scores. It's 4-3 now. Lowther, Garrity, Palmer, Zaporowski, and Fox. St. Albert wins the face-off and comes down, brings it into Leduc zone. Tries a short angle shot, and McCammon's able to glove that. It's going to be a face-off to the left side of the Leduc goaltender. Garapy on the face-off. Won by St. Albert right to his, good opportunity there, misses the net. Back to the defense, they just dump it down low. In behind the net, St. Albert with control there. Okay, Zaporowski picks up the puck. He skates it out. Cross ice to Garapy. He just chips it down into the puck. Corner goes Palmer. Lowther there. St. Albert comes out with the puck. Into Leduc's zone, circles around. Almost broke free there. Palmer was in on the check there. St. Albert still controlling it down low. Palmer has it after a giveaway by St. Albert. Chips it off the glass, looking for a line change. Out comes Remo, Owens, and LeMay. Intercepted by Harden. St. Albert has it now. Now Owens picks it off. Takes it, fires it out front to Remo. Oh, that's St. Albert intercepted it and just threw it up into the mesh. Going to have a face-off in the St. Albert zone here. 7 minutes, 58 seconds left. Owens on the draw. St. Albert wins the draw, and they're able to clear the zone. Remo back to corral that in behind the Leduc end. Fires it up off the glass to nobody. St. Albert has it in their own end. And they're moving it from point to point. And they just, tried to chip it down in the zone and hit the mesh. Going to get a face-off. Out comes Goodman, Bencharski, and Girton. Goodman on the draw. Face-off won by St. Albert. Down deep in behind the Leduc zone where Smith has it. Out to Goodman. Chips it up the middle. Oh, Bencharski's on a breakaway. Scores! St. Albert bobbled the play. Bencharski scores on the breakaway. 4-4. Leduc has come back. Why do we do this, Leduc fans? Leduc do it to us all the time. Third period. 4-4. 7 minutes, 24 seconds left. LeMay settling the guys down. Goodman, Zaporowski, Fox, Bencharski, Girton. Face-off won by St. Albert. They dump it down. Zaporowski has it. Fires it up to Girton up the right side. Girton, he's played real strong today. Dumps it down in behind the net. St. Albert dumps it around, tries to get it out. But St. Albert has control at their own end. And they dump it down. It's in behind the Leduc zone. Leduc goaltender. Zaporowski's there to pick it up. Moves it up to, who's that? Lowther's on the ice. Cross ice to Bencharski again. He shoots one that just comes off the shoulder of the goaltender. Lowther. Giveaway. Fox has it at the point. He dumps it down to Lowther. Lowther all alone in the corner, battling. Gets it to Garapy. Garapy back to Lowther. Lowther has it in the corner back. Oh, out to Garapy, but it was under his stick. Back down the Leduc zone. Quick move all the way down the ice to Palmer. Palmer has it at the blue line. Dumps it in behind the St. Albert zone where Lowther's forechecking. St. Albert puts it around the boards. Tries a cross ice pass. And they dump it down in behind the Leduc goal. Smith over to the far side. Back around the net to Harden. Back to Smith in behind the net. That's up to, I can't see who that is. That's Palmer. Smith to Garapy in the middle. Remo on the ice now. Intercepts the errant pass up the middle. Oh, that's a trip. Leduc's going to the power play. We got another Leduc Roughneck power play. We got another broken stick. Looks like St. Albert's going to need a mortgage here too. 5 minutes, 42 seconds left. 4-4. Leduc to the power play. Out comes Palmer, Garapi, Hardin, Smith, and Lowther. Face-off to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. Garapi on the face-off has been hot as late. He wins it again. Smith has it at the point. Dumps it down to the corner. Lowther has it in behind the net. Garapi at the sideboard. Smith on the point. Fires it over to Palmer on the left side. Back to Smith. Smith has it. Center ice. Palmer in the corner. Back to Smith. Oh, it's out front. That was Lowther battling out front. Just couldn't tuck it in. Oh, he's calling a penalty. You got to be kidding me. What kind of penalty is that? A couple questionable calls here today. Lowther going to the box. That's going to even it out. 4-4 hockey here. 5:19 left. Lowther maybe just a little overzealous there after the whistle. Face-off's going to be to the right side of McCammon. Garapi, Palmer, Hardin, and Smith for Leduc. St. Albert wins the face-off. They control it around the point. Still controlling it. Back to the point. Throws it at the net. Trying for a tip. McCammon makes a save. Hardin in the corner has control. Garapi and Palmer skated out. Garapi with a partial breakaway. Oh, he's hauled down. That's going to be a penalty. Penalty shot. Holy cow, Roughnecks. Penalty shot. (4-4). 4:51 left in the third period. Garapi got hauled down on a partial breakaway, and they're giving him a penalty shot. Holy Toledo, Roughnecks fans. Here he goes. He's got the puck. He's coming in all tactical. Bringing it in. Scores! Scores on the breakaway, Garapi. Leduc 5, St. Albert 4. Holy cow, can you believe it? This is almost a miracle. 4:51 left. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Leduc takes the lead. Let's go going down here. Owens, Remo, Smith, and Hardin. 4-4 hockey still. Owens carries it over the blue line. Oh, lost control. Hardin loses it. It's offside. Owens on the draw. St. Albert takes control. Leduc, Owens takes it back to Hardin, slides it over to Smith. Smith back over to Owens, who plays good just to get it out there. Playing safe. Remo on the forecheck. St. Albert bouncing around their defensemen back and forth. They're going to be going to the power play here shortly. They bring it across Leduc zone where it's tipped, going through the middle. Smith has it, and Hardin bounces it, and they're able to clear it. Oh, Owens almost went on one-on-one. St. Albert brings it into Leduc zone. St. Albert back to their point. Oh, one of their defensemen falls down. Around the outside. Oh, he fans on it. Oh. Throws it towards the net, bounces around. Chipped out, Owens has it. He's going to be able to get it. He just ices the puck. That's a smart play. Shorthanded Girton and Goodman on with Zaporowski and Fox. St. Albert, had problems bringing it out. Almost give it away to Girton for a partial. St. Albert, bring it across the blue line. Bring it down low. Tries to wrap around. Stop by McCammon. Great save. Dumped around, back to the defenseman. Tries to shoot it. Girton blocks it. St. Albert dumps it down, and Leduc ices the puck. 3 minutes, 6 seconds left. We're even strength now. Goodman, Girton, Bencharski, Fox, Zaporowski. Intercepted in the middle by Bencharski, who just dumps it back down into the corner of St. Albert. St. Albert's got to be stunned here with a 4-1 lead, now down 5-4. Missed pass. That's going to be an ice. He waves it off. Smith has it in behind his own net. Skates it out. He just clears it out of the zone. Smart play. St. Albert dumps it back in right on net. Harden's there to pick it up off the goaltender. And he just flips it down. Good play. That's going to go for an icing, though. Palmer, Lowther, Harden, Garapy, Smith, McCammon, face off to the left. Timeout. Give me a timeout here, St. Albert. But 2:23 left in the third period. Okay, Garapy, Palmer, Harden, Smith, and Lowther. St. Albert's pulled their goalie. They're going to have the extra attacker. Big face-off to the left of McCammon. Garapy's been on fire lately. Garapy wins it back. Harden gets it. It's chipped up. Palmer fires it down the ice. Just misses. That's going to be an icing. That only missed by a foot. 2:16 left in the third period. Garapy pushes the draw. St. Albert wins it. It's up in the air. People everywhere. Well pass. Good call by the officials there. That's got to come outside. Outside Leduc blue line. 2:11 left in the third period. Garapy showing his leadership out there in the third period on the faceoff. St. Albert wins the draw. Tries to dump it in. Garapy intercepts it. Goalie's back in though. Fires a low shot. Hits the defenseman's skate. St. Albert comes out. They bring it up the right side. Bring it into the Leduc zone. Fired across. It's to the left boards. St. Albert controlling around the outside. That's a trip. Garapy's for a trip. Leduc's going to be shorthanded here. 1 minute, 49 seconds left in the third period. Better hurry here if you're going to make a change. Leaving Lowther and Palmer out. Lowther wins the faceoff. Smith gets it and just flips it down the ice. Towards the empty net. Is it going to curl in there? Just misses. St. Albert brings it up. Bad pass. That's going to be an ice. They wave it off. And Leduc's unable to get it out. That was a bad call. St. Albert Tries a cross ice pass. Back to their D. Cross ice pass. Blocked. Blocked again. 2 blocks. Oh, we got to get it out. Defensemen are flying everywhere blocking shots here. Lowther. St. Albert scored. They've tied it up on the power play. 1 minute left to go in the game. Remo, Owens, Girton, Fox, Zaporowski. Face off, won by St. Albert. They cleared out of the zone. Oh, part of the breakaway. Oh, it's loose up front. And Leduc ices the puck. My gosh. $45 seconds left. Oh. Face off to the right of McCammon. Owens. St. Albert wins the draw. They throw it. It goes off a glove in behind the net. Zaporowski. They chip it around the boards. Out front and cleared out of the zone. Good play. That's not going to go for an icing. Intercepted by Remo. Remo has the puck. They come back in control. It's over to Zaporowski. Cross ice pass to Remo. Brings it across the zone. Chips into the corner. Girton has it. Owens back in behind. Trying to control it there. Girton has it to the side of the net. They're trying to clear the zone. Zaporowski has 6 seconds left. It's over to Harden. Tries to throw it at the net. It's in behind. We're going to overtime. Five at the end of regulation. We're going to overtime. I don't know. It must go down to like 4-4 and such. Looks like it's going to be 5-on-5 fans here for 10 minutes anyways, but I would suspect that we'll get some sort of goal scored before then. Overtime. Okay, we got Palmer, Garapy, Lowther, Smith, and Harden. Center ice faceoff. Here we go. Next goal wins. Faceoff won by Garapy. Smith, Harden. Palmer chips it down to the board, down to the far end. They fan on it, dumping it around the ice. Garapy picks it up. Out to Palmer. Oh, he fans on it. Over to Harden. Shoots it towards the net. It's blocked. Chipped out by St. Albert. Palmer picks it up, just chips it up the boards. St. Albert has it. They come up the boards. He's going for a change. Smith picks it off. Just throws it towards the net. Easy glove save for the St. Albert goaltender. Face off to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. Owens, LeMay, Remo, Zaporowski, and Fox. Owens on the face off. Wins it cleanly. Back to Fox. Just kind of dumps it to the side. Back to Owens. Goes into the corner, and St. Albert takes control. They chip it up the boards and just out. Fox has the puck again. Linesman gets in the way. Puck over to Zaporowski. He fires it cross ice. St. Albert fires it all the way around and behind their own net. Sent up the far side. The St. Albert player comes out. Zaporowski intercepts the pass. Takes it up the right side. No help there. St. Albert throws it towards the net. Deflected just wide. Zaporowski chips it around the boards. Remo gets it, chips it up, and ends up being out of play. Goodman, Bencharski, and Girton. Harden and Smith back out. Face off to the left of the Leduc goaltender. Important face off here, Goodman. Looks like the officiating team's taking a break to watch some TikTok over by the penalty box. What's going on? Oh, they're checking their. Looks like it might be the 3-on-3 format here. They're just double checking, I believe, the rules here, sports fans. So just a pause for station identification here. All right. 3-on-3. Face off to the left of McCammon in the Leduc zone. We got Palmer, Garrity, and Smith. Garrity wins the face off. Smith has control in behind the net. Circles back. Gives it to Garrity, who comes up. They come up 2-on-1. Oh, pass went right past Palmer. St. Albert coming out. Smith has it. Off the boards to Palmer. Gets over the zone. Regroups. Out comes Harden. Palmer still working down in the corner. They circle all the way back, come on out of the zone to get fresh legs. Girton comes out. I like this call. Girton gets the puck with Remo. Girton brings it out, brings it across. Doubles back. They circle all the way back out to center ice. Comes across to Remo. Remo has it. He circles around with some speed. He dumps it over to Girton. Girton bringing it through the middle. Girton comes across. Circles in. Oh, goalie's out of his net. St. Albert takes control of the puck. Out comes Smith again with Remo and Girton. St. Albert has control. They bring it out across their blue line. They bring it through the middle. Oh, high up on the goalie's face. Girton comes out all by himself. No help at the moment. He circles back. Smart play. Smith. Now we got Garrity. Girton coming off. It looks like Palmer's going back out. Oh, send him. Garrity brings it down the far side. Doubles back. He circles back out of the zone to Smith. 6:40 left in the overtime. Smith has it. Doubles back. Dumps it off for Palmer. Palmer fires it across to Garrity. Garrity to Smith. Smith to Palmer. Looks partial breakaway. Oh, stopped by the St. Albert goaltender. St. Albert comes out. Palmer comes off. Remo goes back on. St. Albert throws it. He doesn't know where it is. Oh, McCammon with a stop. Remo now has control. Garrity looking to change. Out comes Girton again. Remo, Harden, and Girton. Remo tries to cut through two players. Can't do it. Puck's down in the corner there. St. Albert has control. They try a long pass that goes off a stick back. McCammon controls it. Now Harden has it. Remo now drops it for Harden. Back to Remo. Remo brings it across the blue line. Makes a move down in the corner. Harden has it. Oh, Owens almost was available there. Back off the boards to Owens. Owens has it at the point. Owens dumps it off for Harden. Back to Owens. He brings it all the way back for Harden. Palmer has it. Back to Harden. Palmer, they're just waiting for a chance to attack here. Palmer circles around. In behind his net. Owens. Owens comes out with some speed. Through the legs to Palmer. Palmer has it on the far boards. Owens. Uh-oh. Picked off. Zaporowski skating back. Saved by McCammon on the breakaway. Puck in the corner. 2-on-2. Zaporowski and Palmer come out 2-on-1. Zaporowski and Palmer. Zaporowski tries to shoot. Hit the defenseman's leg. They come out. St. Albert has the puck. They circle back for control. Zaporowski's going to be looking for a change. Smith comes back out. 3:51 left in the overtime. We got Girton, Smith. That puck is deflected by Smith and up at a play. Going to have a face-off to the right side of McCammon. Remo's coming back out for Girton. Some of these guys are getting exhausted. Garapy and Remo with Smith. Important face-off here. St. Albert won the draw. It's back to their point man. He just dumps it off the boards. Just moving it back and forth between their point man. St. Albert still with control. Throw it towards the net, misses the net. St. Albert still has control. Good block by Smith with his skates. Leduc has control now. Come on, let's go. Garapy and Smith. Oh, he hit the post. Smith hit the post. St. Albert scores. Game's over. St. Albert wins 6-5.